There doesn't seem to be any end to the league this year, you know. And in fairness to Wexford, we thought we played a small bit better today, but they were there to match it. And they got goals when they needed them. And we were lucky enough to, you know, to clip them back with points. So, you know, both teams seem to raise their games at vital stages, and I suppose that's the reason for the 1, 2, 3 draws at this stage now.
This was another great match today again, like from last week. Under the conditions today, it was a great match, and then the extra time, like it was touch and go the whole way. Like no one can get away enough from the other to finish each other off. So
you go back to years, either Wexford or Kilkenny, they've often a great habit of, you know, putting a false insecurity into the opposition, letting them go away, and all of a sudden they'll get a goal and a couple of points and they're back in the game. I think that's traditional with Wexford Hurling, and they've done it again today.
The way we've been playing over the last few weeks, we feel we had a great chance in getting Cork first game, but Cork proved that they want to win the league too. I mean, today's draw just emphasises one thing, that we both want to win the league, especially now after these 2 games being played, you know. But today, at times you think you had, but Cork came back, and I'd say Cork probably felt the same. I think in the last 5 minutes, I mean, they were coming strong, and at the end of the day, I think we both settled for the draw, you know.
Yeah, I thought we had it. I was hoping the referee would blow it up a bit early, actually, but I was pleading with him there at one stage, but I'm happy enough now with the draw again.
I was hoping that the thing had come to an end today, one way or the other, because like we have a championship match in 2 weeks' time, and like it's very difficult playing 3 weeks in a row, tough, hard matches, and then going out and expecting to be fit, like, and no injury problems going into the championship, like, and Dublin will be coming in fresh against us in the championship.
We're fortunate enough, Ger, in that we don't have a first round. We're playing the winners of Limerick and Clare, and that will be in 4 weeks' time. So if we had a first round, it would have interrupted it much more. But hopefully this will be finished next weekend, and then we can relax and step it up again for the championship.
Yes, well, however, after all that, they must fight yet again, and that replay has been fixed for next Saturday in Thurles. Well, now let's take a look at the statistics from today's match. Well, Wexford, why the GAA don't reduce the entrance price for the hurling replay, the next one, as most people have already paid and travelled to play in 2 matches so far. 643 666, by the way, is our number here in Dublin, if you have any thoughts on today's game. There it is on the screen for you at the moment. Why is the replay of the Hurling League final being held next Saturday? A Wexford caller wants to know. Most people will be at work and they won't be able to make it. What's the reason for this? Well, ask the GAA about that one. However, obviously they've got to play at some time, and right now the fixture list is getting a little bit congested, to say the least. And Garrod Brady of Fairhouse in Dublin says, why do we, RTE, always use Jimmy Barry Murphy, as he should not be used for Cork's matches, in Mr Brady's opinion? Well, Mr Brady, we use him because Jimmy Barry Murphy is very good, regardless of where he comes from. So is Kieran Barr, who joins us on the programme here tonight. Kieran, yet another exciting day today, and a good match into the bargain.
It was a good match. I think the momentum of the game built up towards the end. It took a while to get going, and Wexford looked as if they were going to be out of it. They were hitting a lot of wides, and the game died. And the wides seemed to sap the confidence out of Wexford, and the game lost some momentum. But then when they got that goal, the game built up into a crescendo, and then in the extra time, it was extremely exciting.
I think so many people were kind of backing Wexford. You know, it's been so long since they've won anything. But really in the second half, it was Cork who were beginning to dominate, one felt. Yeah, Cork seemed to come back into this game, and as we can see from this first incident here, that they could have scored a goal. Thomas Mulcahy probably should have scored a goal there, but they kept the pressure on. And as it comes across here, Pat Buckley gets a good score and there's some pressure. This was sort of the combination of some pressure that Cork had kept up throughout the half. They were scoring the points, and I think Wexford at the other end were missing chances that were similar to those. Yeah. Well, Billy Byrne, of course, has been such a great campaigner for Wexford down through the years, came on as a sub today. That goal that he got was a very important one for Wexford. It was. They seemed to be completely out of it at that stage, and they brought him on, and we were talking about this last week, that we used to see teams with Jimmy Hurling and Billy Byrne in it all the time. Yeah. Does very well. Here's a strong player, gets in behind John Considine, and he kicks that goal, and you can see from the 2 umpires, they're immediately signalling a goal. They had no doubt about it at all, though some of the players around there had. But as you can see, he wins possession there and just about gets a foot to it and gets it in. And he was bigger and stronger than John Considine, and I think he gave John Considine some problems there when he was introduced. So then, Kieran, we were into extra time, and at this stage, to say the very least of it, the excitement was mounting and mounting. Yeah, it was on the players. It was a great contribution from both teams to have to play an extra half an hour after having played just 1 week ago. And for amateur players, it was extremely good. And the quality of the hurling actually got better as the game went on. And I think probably it'll be more beneficial to Cork in the long term, because they seem to be the less fit team on the day. And as such, I think the extra
playing that they're going to have in the extra time in the next match again will stand them and their fitness.
Let's have a look at O'Gorman's goal, because this was an important one, obviously, in the extra time period when the thing was hanging in the balance.
Yeah. The commentators, I think, on the day there, Ger Canning and Jimmy Barry Murphy, might have thought they didn't really know who scored it.
Yeah.
But as the ball comes in here, it's hit by Larry Murphy and deflected into the goal. And as we can see in the slow motion, I think we just freeze the ball as it comes down and across from Larry Murphy. And we see that it actually is Sean O'Gorman's stick. He tries to block the ball and stop it from going across the goal into the danger area. And just as we stop it there, you'll see a stick going out and he touches the ball in past Ger Cunningham. Very unfortunate, but that was good pressure from Wexford. And they sort of kept their momentum going from the end of full time. They kept it going and scored that point. But Cork came back, fair play to Cork. They came back in the first period of extra time. And that point from Shawnee McCarthy was a great score. And it looked as if Cork had waned and had lost the momentum and the pace of the game. And then they came back and said to themselves, and just shook themselves up. And by the end of the first period of extra time, they were doing very well. And it seemed as if Cork were going to then go and dominate the rest of the match. But as we see in the next part, they changed around again at extra time. And Wexford came up trumps again with a goal. Yeah,
Wexford certainly didn't take it lying down today. That's one thing that has to be said to them.
Some of their big players, they're strong big players in the full forward line. That was the contrast between Cork and Tip today, or sorry, Cork and Wexford. That Wexford's big players up front got possession and scored goals, and Cork's players didn't. And people like Kevin Hennessy and Thomas Mulcahy weren't as influential maybe as they could have been or are on other days.
Kieran, we had been hoping to have a look at that Wexford Cleary goal coming up. I don't think we've got that at the moment. We do. Let's have a look at that.
Okay. The long ball in, and Eamon Cleary, this is isolated one-on-one with the player, and he beats Sean O'Gorman just man-to-man and kicks it into the net. Now that's, similar balls were going into the Cork full forward line, but nobody was winning them in there. And like a big strong fella like that is bound to win one or two balls during a game. And that's exactly what he did. And he was being held and tackled, and he just was too strong for the two fellas who were tackling him. He kicked the ball into the net. It was very good.
A couple of other aspects of today's game, and referring to our phone calls, John Keoghan, Waterford, says the foul on Liam Dunn was scandalous and Shawnee McCarthy should have been sent off. Would you agree?
I disagree with that, actually. And I think the commentators at the time were saying that they thought it was a very wild pull. I didn't. I actually think Sean McCarthy lost concentration, took his eye off the ball on the player and put a stick across. Now, he hit Liam Dunn in the face, but I don't think it was intentional at all. And I differ completely with that opinion and with the opinion of the commentators during the day.
It was a bit loose, perhaps, but maybe nothing more serious than that. Now, a caller, Mick Butler in Swords, wants to refer to something that you said on the programme here last week when you made a comment, if you recall, about Martin Story, that he invites frees every time that he gets the ball. Now, Mick Butler in Swords says this is very untrue, as today he scored 4 points off the hurler of the year, Brian Corcoran. So what have you to say to that?
I'll make 2 points about that. First of all, my points were in relation to that particular game and that Martin Story's style of play. He actually invites or manufactures frees, but that's because he's putting pressure on players and running around them. And secondly, today, I think it was a different type of player marking him. Corcoran is a loose player, likes to play the ball. Pat Hartnett is a man-marking player. Therefore, as we've seen today, Story didn't get into the position where he could actually draw fouls off players. I do it myself when I'm playing. I draw fouls off players if I think I can. And it's a legitimate tactic. I'm not trying to say it's good or bad. I'm only expressing an opinion on it.
Sure.
And that man has a different opinion to me.
He certainly had a fine game today, Story, though, didn't he?
He did indeed.
All right, Jerry McCarthy from Donegal Town says he has only this short comment to make: Cork are artists. They like to draw.
I think Donegal have a lot to think about maybe since losing the league.
What about next Saturday, Kieran? Who's going to win it?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, I think Cork are going to benefit from these games more so than Wexford, because Wexford are going to be thinking now about championship, worrying about championship, having to play an extra game. They're fit. They seem to be fitter than Cork, and I think Cork have more in the bag, something else to give to this game, and maybe in the replay that's what will happen. But Cork have big problems, and both for their selectors and for some of their players. Now, Teddy McCarthy, I should mention, had a magnificent game today compared to what he played like last week, and that's all credit to him. But I think some of their other players are going to have to seriously look at their form or their play and do something different to try to change it.
All right, Kieran, well, it all remains to be seen what happens next Saturday, but just referring back again to today, the man of the match from today's match was Liam Dunn of Wexford. Bloodied, but certainly unbowed today. Well, at this point, we take a commercial break. Still to come on the programme, you're very welcome back to the Sunday game.